Hello guys and welcome to the third video in this module where we're learning about join statements. So here we want to focus on left join and let's just go over this short write-up. When joining two tables, a left join returns all records from the left table, which is referred to as the first table, table 1, and matching records from the right table, which is referred to as the second table, table 2. If no match is found, then the result from the right table is null on that row. Okay, so what do we actually use this left join to do? What case scenario, what case study do we have with the left join? I'm going to explain that in this, in DB browser with the comments and the queries we've written. So here I want to see the application of left join. All right. And left join is actually used in checking for missing information, which is one use case. So one use case for left join is that it can be used to check for missing information. In this case, let's try to find out what media items have not been bought yet. That is, are not an item in any invoice. Note that we might limit our results to the first 10 rows in order just to make our output more eligible. But let's just see this. So here I want to go into the track table and get those tracks that are yet to be bought. I mean, if the track has is missing under the invoice ID, if it has no ID in the invoice table, then of course that track must be a track that has not been purchased yet. So what do we do? I go ahead and select the two columns from the two tables, the track ID and the invoice ID. All right, I'm picking the track ID from the tracks table. That is why I'm referencing it as the t.track, and the invoice ID from the invoice items table. Now, when you take note of the tracks table, let's check our DB schema. Under the tracks table, we have the track ID as well as the where is that again? So we have, okay, yeah, we have the track ID, right? And under the invoice items table, we also have the track ID. Can you see that? So we're using this track ID, that's the common column between the tracks table and the invoice items table, to check, okay, please, what are those tracks that are present here? Okay, you will see them. Now, if you want to see the ones that are not present, any track ID that is missing from the invoice items means that that track is yet to be purchased. So we went further to say from tracks T left join, you can see here is left that's being used. Left join invoice items II, so I'm calling the invoice items table II, on the track ID on the track table equal to the track ID column on the invoice items table. So that means I'm saying please check the corresponding check the records that the or the equal records, corresponding records on these two tables, two different columns from different tables, and return the track ID and the invoice ID for those tracks. So let's run this query and see the output. So when I select and run, we have the expected output. As you can see, for track ID 1, it has invoice ID 108, which means track ID 1 has been purchased. For track ID 6, there's an invoice ID 2, which means it has been purchased. Track ID 7 with null simply means that this guy is still not is still in the store. We are yet to sell this track ID 7. And when you go further, track ID 11 is yet to be purchased. Track ID 17 and 18, they are yet to be purchased. Track ID 22 and 23 are yet to be purchased, and so on and so forth, right? So that is how to check out the track IDs that are yet to be purchased using the left join. Using the left join. So if we just take out the left join, let's take out the left join and see the output. When I take this guy out and run the query again, you would see that the output that will be returned will be the records that are common. The common records. So you wouldn't find any null row under the invoice ID again. So it's bringing out every single ID. So it's telling us that, so with this, we are seeing all the tracks that have been purchased. So it means that we have results 2,240 tracks that have been purchased. That's what this simply means. 2,240 tracks has been purchased. So, but if I add the left join, let's add the left join and we run this query. So it's going to return all the tracks from the left table, because here's the left table. So left join returns every single record from the tracks table, all right, and the corresponding one from the one that are corresponding to the right table. All the single tracks on the single records from the tracks table, which is the left table, and then the corresponding one from the right table, which is the invoice items table. Let's run this again, and let's I would please take note of this number. Okay, right now we are seeing 2,240, which means this is the entire number of tracks that have been sold. Let's run this query and see what we have. Can you see now? We have 3,759. So this is the total number of tracks. For us to confirm that number, let's just count the number of tracks we have. I'm going to say select count, select count all from the tracks table, So I just want to confirm this number. So when we count all calling from the tracks table, what do we have? We have one row returned. Okay, this is 3,503. 3,503. So what value do we have initially? This is 3,759. Okay, so which means that there are more records here. There are more records here that are outputted for us. Okay, let's see. Oh, let's see the invoice item, the invoice ID. Let's count all from the invoice ID and know the invoices, the invoice items, right? By counting all from the invoice items table. Let's count all from the invoice items table. And here we have 2,240. Okay, so I think this count is count distinct working. Let's see, count distinct. Okay, count distinct. Count distinct is not a function. So my best guess would be that we've counted when you count tracks, we've counted some tracks that appeared multiple times once by saying 3,503. So I'm trying to find out, because I'm expecting to see the number 3,700, and I'm supposed to see this number 3,759 rows. Okay, when we write that query. But look at what is going on here. Now, the reason why we are seeing more records in this output is because there are some tracks that are repeated. Can you see that? Track 8 is repeated twice. This means that track 8 has been bought more than one time, so it's an expected result. So track 8 was bought when with the ID 2, invoice ID 2. Someone else bought track 8 with invoice ID 214. Track 9 was purchased twice. Someone bought track 9 with the invoice ID 108. So this is an expected result, actually. Initially I was thinking that we should see the same number, the same rows as this particular number when I count all the records from the tracks table. But I have forgotten that these tracks can be sold more than one time. Okay, so because the track is sold more than one time, that's why we have multiple results. Okay, so this tells you that whenever the track is sold, we generate a new ID for that track. So that is why we have multiple the track invoice. We generate a new invoice ID for that track. That's why we have multiple invoice ID for a particular track ID. I hope this makes sense. So with this left join, we are able to display those tracks that are yet to be sold. Some tracks have been sold multiple times, yet some tracks are yet to be sold. Like track 7 is yet to be sold, track 17 is yet to be sold, 18 and so forth. So what if we are interested? What if we are interested in displaying only those that are yet to be sold? We want to show only those tracks that are yet to be sold. So you say, see my write up here, I said in the results, the tracks that have a value of none or null for invoice ID are the ones that have not been purchased yet. So if we want to only focus on those unpopular tracks or those guys that are yet to be purchased, we can do that by adding the where clause as follows. So I just want to display those guys that are yet to be sold. So I'm adding one line of query, which is the where clause. I'll say where invoice ID is null. So is null is one function that is recognized in SQL. Where invoice ID is null. So I just want to filter out all the guys with null, right? Once we run this query, and then you will see that we are only seeing those tracks that are yet to be sold. So these are the tracks that are yet to be sold. How many are they? 1,519. So there are 1,519 tracks that are yet to be sold. So this is how to use the left join to, figure out some missing values. All right. Uh, that is it about left join. Please explore more as we'll end the video here and then talk about the cross join in our next video. Do have a wonderful time. Bye bye.